Hi, my name is Mariea Antoinette, and I am here with the band, the very famous, incomparable band Fattburger. And we're going to introduce all of ourselves, and I'm going to pass around the mic so you know who everyone is. Some of you know who they are, but we'll start with me, Mariea Antoinette.
Alan Phillips, keys.
Evan Marks, guitars.
Mark Hunter, bass.
Kevin Cox, drums.
Tommy Eros, percussion.
See, there you have it. And we were sitting here at the Mar Plaza in Del Mar, and this beautiful atmosphere with the ocean behind us. And we just came together to talk about my new project and my new song that I'm going to release titled Loving You, and Fattburger is featured on it. But before we do that, we wanted to say a few words about Carl Evans Jr., who started me on my journey and what he meant to me. And each one of them will say this, we'll go around and say the same thing as well, say a little bit about Carl. But for those of you who probably don't know, Carl Evans Jr. was my very first producer. And he started me on this journey of music and smooth jazz when I didn't know anything about it. I was classically trained and didn't know how to improvise or anything like that. But Carl believed in me, and I always carry his spirit with me because he just really started me across this path. And after he passed, there's probably not a day that goes by that I don't really think about him. And one of the things that he told me before he left us was that he sent me over to Mr. Alan Phillips. He said, you'll be great in his hands. He'll take good care of you. And so I'm going to pass it over to Alan, and each one of us will have something very, very special to say about Carl Evans Jr.
Well, Carl Evans Jr., an icon and one of the founders of the style we call contemporary jazz, smooth jazz. And there's not, like Mariea Antoinette said, there's not a day where somebody doesn't make a comment about Carl or one of his jokes or whatever. He's such an influence in the musician community in Southern California that is just, he'll be, talked about, for centuries, because definitely Carl was like one of the best musicians ever in the history of music. He brought us all together. The reason we were here and the reason we were doing what we're doing is because of him, basically, because here was somebody who was a visionary and who was an excellent musician, and he was sensitive. He was a very smart individual, and he just radiated positivity. And so he left us, but he's still with us because we are all like a family, and for some reason, we're together. Sometimes we're not together, but there's always that fire that brings us together, and that is Carl Evans Jr. And what we're doing right now is just keeping that alive and pushing forward, and us leaving behind the influence of his legacy as one of the best musicians ever you can ever talk about. So as far as I'm concerned, it's like I don't have people that I talk about as geniuses or big, this person is my idol, whatever. But Carl Evans is definitely my idol.
All right. That's very touching. It's amazing. Carl was definitely one of the most important people in my life. He was an innovator. He was a musician and a philosopher. And to what you said, since his tragic passing, there hasn't been a day that has gone by that I haven't thought about him or quoted him or stole his lines, which I do all the time. But it's always for positive good, and having him in my life was, yeah, it's hard to even talk without getting choked up. But love Carl. I know he's here smiling. So.
Well said. When I first met Carl, I was playing a gig with Ella Ruth Piggy, local San Diego vocalist legend that's no longer with us. And he had just gotten off the road with Barry White. And he came in to see Ella, and I was playing with Ella. And he sat in, and he had the big row. I mean, it was big. He had like an arrogant kind of vibe, but then he started playing, and we just kind of hooked up. And ever since that first night, there was like an emotional attachment. It sort of went really well, and he's been one of my heroes, and musically, I miss him.
Yeah, Carl. Like everyone mentioned, I think of him often, pretty much every day. And miss playing music with him. It was always a pleasure.
I'm a native San Diegan, and I met Carl when I was probably like 15 or 16. I went to an opposite school, high school, but my cousin went to Crawford High School where Carl and Hollis and all these amazing musicians were going. And I met Carl. I would go see him play when I was young. I had just started playing, so I wasn't even in their league or thought about playing. But he was so musical then as a young kid, 15, 16. And then, over the years, we had a relationship, friendship. And then I got an opportunity to join this band when Hollis left the band. And it was one of my, as I look back on my career now that I'm 65 almost, I look back and I listen to the music that we created, and it's just, and he was a giant part of that. But I look back now and it was just a wonderful time. The music, the stuff that we got to do, the people we got to play with, and Carl was always, he was the head guy of the band on stage, and he always told the funniest jokes, and we all got tired of him, of course. We were like rolling our eyes, but he was always the showman and always had something funny to say, and we all miss him. So it was, when I look back, it's just like it was an amazing time. Just once in a lifetime opportunity to play with all these guys, and now for Alan to bring us back together to do a project, it was so much fun the other day to play. You forget how much you love these guys and how easy it is to play with them, and Alan made it so easy with his arrangements and stuff. So good to be back.
Exactly the same word. No editing, no.
I already. Well, you mentioned Hollis. I miss Hollis too. It was another big loss that we suffered. Even though he had left the band, we still used him on a lot of our recordings and took him on the road with us occasionally. But it was a cool opportunity to get you in the band. That was kind of my idea. I don't know if you knew that. I was like, well, we can't just show up without a sax and nothing else to replace him. So, but yeah, it turned out great. We got to see a lot of cool places, did some good traveling. We're always lucky on the road, never any problems, and now now we just recorded something new. It felt great. Best of luck with your project. Hope it's a huge success.
And I wanted to say one last thing. There's so many memories with Carl. I mean, we went to St. Rita's together. We grew up in middle school, and like Tommy was saying, he was always funny. He always had all the jokes, and he was truly, truly a special person. My very first producer, For those of you who probably don't know, he produced my first CD, Sexy Paradise. And to me, like he was saying, when we look back on that music and listen to it, it was just phenomenal. And Carl was probably one of the most musical person that I know. But going forward, my producer now is Mr. Alan Phillips. And he came up with the idea of we should do a song by Minnie Riperton titled Loving You, and to feature Fattburger in that. And I thought that would be a fantastic idea because I loved Minnie Riperton. And so for us to do that and then me get the opportunity to do it with the band was even better. And so we dropped this February the 21st of 2020. So we've gotten a lot of excitement about it. But I'm going to hand you over to Alan because it was his concept, his arrangement for harp and the band to come in. And it's kind of like a play with all of us going back and forth like a conversation. So it's really beautiful. So Alan, I'm going to let you explain a little bit more about what you did with that.
Well, the concept turned out to be going back to Carl, something channeled by Carl, because we have been working on the album, on your album, and we had all these songs, but I always had in the back of my mind, we have to do something with Fattburger that's gonna take us back to where we all came from, which is Carl. So we went through different stages where we were thinking different ideas, and then one night I thought, yeah, Loving You, because it has the sensitivity, it has the feel, it has that feel for trying to get that Fattburger's unique sound that nobody's been able to duplicate. So it was a perfect storm, basically, to get Fattburger and Mariea Antoinette in one setting. And the way I developed the arrangement was just like what we're doing right now. Just let's get together and have a conversation. And so musically, that's what we're doing. We're going back and forth between the guitar, the bass, the drums, the piano, and the harp. So once you go through listening to the song, you hear that interplay among instruments and that feel, that big heart that everybody's pouring into it, which I think it's gonna make the song a huge success, just because of that, because it has a lot of genuine feel to it. So I hope it does what we think it's gonna do, which it's 99.9% chance it will. So.
Yes, because already we dropped like maybe 20 seconds on the internet, and my emails and my Facebook and Instagram page is going crazy with all the comments. Well, when the single comes out and that they love it so far, and it was only 20 seconds. So we're excited about it, and we are really happy. I don't know if anyone wants to say anything else, that we came together today in Del Mar. What a beautiful setting. We're right on the ocean. It doesn't get any better than this. And we are thankful and we are grateful to be here. And I'm thankful that they came and they showed up and that we could have a conversation. And once again, I haven't seen these guys in a long time. And so this has really been an honor and a pleasure for us to do this sit down with us and the launch of Loving You by Minnie Riperton. Thank you.